Welcome back to season 3 of the Miscarriage Rebellion. I am really excited to bring today's guest, Christie Hayes, with us. We've spoken with Christy for a number of years. We've watched your experience through miscarriages, loss after IVF, pregnancy after loss, finally welcoming your beautiful baby in your arms last year. And I've spoken about this before on the podcast. There's a moment when we, as a team at Pink Elephants, collectively exhale when someone finally gets their baby in their arms. And it was definitely a moment for us. I'm really excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Oh. No, but it's funny because when you put it like that, even though I was there and I was through all of that, when you articulate a journey for someone, whoever it might be, that goes through the joy of finally falling pregnant after the grief of not being able to, and then losing the baby and then getting pregnant again, I don't think we pause enough sometimes to really remember where we've been or where we've come from or where we want to go. And I remember when I first heard your podcast and I needed to hear it so badly. And I remember thinking, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to have a baby. I'm never going to have a baby. And to see you smile like that because it happened, it really makes me cry already.
Yeah, and we said there'll definitely be tears.
We did.
But it is something that I get that. We're constantly in this kind of, what next? How can I make this happen? And it's almost like we don't stop and acknowledge what's actually happening to us, because we are, the majority of women that I hold space for, that we see through Pink Elephants, we're so desperate to hold a baby in our arms that we're not almost giving ourselves that space to grieve, right?
It's too noisy sometimes. You know, like it's just too noisy. You don't get time to stop and think about, if I do have a baby, what will the baby look like? Will everything be okay? Will I be lucky enough to fall pregnant? You are so sometimes caught up in the trying, the grieving, the everything, that there's so much noise. And you don't get just that minute or whatever to feel, apart from the pain, of course. You never really get to have moments where you're smiling at hope and positivity and things like that, because it's such a dark world. And we're coming up, it's not far away, but August the 4th was our baby's due date. And I still remember it vividly because August the 4th was such a pertinent date, because my son Hendrix was born on October 4th and my son Harley was born on September 4th. And we found out we were having a baby. We were like 444, like, wow. Oh my goodness, you know. Yeah. And to go back to the beginning of before our beautiful baby, who we called Sunflower. Sunflower is the name that we used for the baby that we miscarried, not lost. I don't like that terminology.
Same.
August the 4th, I would have a 2-year-old. That's how long it's been. And so every time now we get around to August the 4th, and that's the first time that I've said it out loud to anyone apart from my immediate family. August the 4th, and I think, what would he or she look like? I would have a 2-year-old son or daughter and be running around and living through all the toddler stages and things like that. And it was so easy come, easy go. And when I say that, we tried so hard to fall pregnant. We weren't getting there. And then miraculously found out that I was pregnant traditionally. And then I started to bleed and we were having problems, and we just ironically paid almost $10,000 for an IVF round, and then we found out we were pregnant, and then we of course went, oh shit, does that mean we've lost 10 grand as well? Yeah. But we didn't mind, because we thought we were going to spend that on having our baby, so whatever result was a wonderful result. And so when I say easy come, easy go, we fall pregnant, we're about to start IVF, but we had the baby, then we lose the baby, and then we go IVF. I can't even look at it. I hated that money for a long period of time afterwards, because it was literal blood money. Yeah. That's how I felt. I didn't want to go through IVF. I just didn't want to try again.
Yeah. You can't just replace a baby either. I think there's this misperception that, oh, well, you can try again, or at least you can fall pregnant. And it's like, well, no, I want that baby back. And to your point earlier, I would imagine a baby like that would be 2 years old now, a toddler running around. And so much of these experiences is unseen, right? That people around us don't see, because society says these statements that minimize it, that no one actually understands how long and how profound these experiences can be and how much they actually can hurt us moving forward.
Yeah. We got married. We started trying immediately. I mean, we obviously had lots of sex before we were married, but we were trying to have the baby, and my husband, we needed to up. It was his sperm as well, which was a problem, you know. And so we thought, oh well, that's medical. We can fix it. We can deal with it. You know, let's enjoy the time. And so we, you know, started to settle in, and it started to take a while. And then we thought, okay, well, let's just keep going. And we thought, look, it's not going to happen. We're not going to get pregnant. And then we did. And we both burst into tears. And it was December. It was December 2023. And I remember how joyous that felt, because it was, you know, it's the silly season. It's Christmas time. Like, it's a wonderful time of the year, you know. And we told everyone that we were trying for a baby too. So it wasn't like it was a secret. It was a relatively happy time of the previous months trying and things like that, or the previous years, I should say. And then when we fell pregnant, and I noticed that things were wrong, because I was bleeding and I was cramping and I was having pain and I was experiencing things I'd never experienced with my 2 previous pregnancies. And I remember thinking, something's wrong here. Like, what's going on? And it didn't matter that I was early on in the pregnancy, and it didn't matter that I had only been pregnant for a second. That was our baby, you know. And I'm a big believer in having choices, of course, and very pro that for women, of course. But to us, and you know, to so many couples, our baby was right there. Our baby was loved and wanted. And I remember when I got scared, thinking, hang on, I was bleeding for a bit, but I was like, this should stop now, right? Like, this doesn't, I was maybe a bit naive. It's one of those things that you don't ever think will happen to you. You never want it to happen to anyone, but you kind of live in this world where you go, oh, I've heard about it before, but I mean, I don't think it'll happen. I feel good. Like, surely there's no reason. And I got really scared. I could tell something was not right, and my husband was scared, and we were terrified together, and we were trying to remain hopeful though, and going to doctor's appointments and things like that. And so we only had that elation for a week and a half, 2 weeks, where we already told people that we loved, i.e., you know, mum, you know, we told our 2 sons, and we told my son Harley, my other son Hendrix is autistic and nonverbal and doesn't have the comprehension, but of course, you know, the family were very excited, and then it was over. And it was, when I say easy come, easy go, that was it felt like he or she's here, he or she's gone. And I didn't think that I'd ever be able to face the world again, because never in my life had I experienced grief like that. And I mean pain, and I mean like anger and confusion. And it's one thing they don't tell you about grief is how tiring it is. Like, not only is the physicality happening for a woman literally miscarrying and bleeding and in pain and things like that, but you are dropping in hormone levels and all the grief that you're going through. And I remember thinking, I don't understand why this is happening. Like, did I do something wrong here? Like, I tried everything. Like, I mean, I really tried everything, and I was angry at myself, and I was angry at the world. And I'm a happy, positive, polite person by nature. And I remember really feeling immense hopelessness was when we went to go and have the baby scan, and the sonographer picked up the wand, forgive my terminology, and she started to scan and everything. Like, I was still bleeding, but the baby was still there, and I thought, okay, this is positive, I can hang on to that. And then over the next 48 hours was when HCG was dropping dramatically and all that stuff. And I remember thinking, you just know. You just feel it. You feel it.
You literally. But
you literally feel it. And I just remember thinking the pain that I was feeling, like the cramps and the blood and all that stuff. I was like, no. People were saying, do you want Panadol? Do you want this? And I was like, no, I don't want anything, because wherever my little baby is going, I want to go along with them. I want my baby to know that Mummy stayed with you literally every single step of the way. And I was so grateful that our baby joined us just for a period of time. And I thought, I owe it to this beautiful baby to see our baby out. I'm not going to let my baby be taken from me, and me not walk him or her through to the next life, or wherever she was going or wherever he was going. I wanted to be there every step of the way for a baby that I loved so much and am still, as is my husband Justin. heartbroken to have had taken from us
Yeah.
for a reason I still can't make sense of, but something that happens to thousands and thousands and thousands of women all over the world every single day.
And this is it. You've, like, if anyone's not moved by how you just described that, I don't understand why, if we are feeling this profound emotional distress, grief, shock, anger, all the things that you just outlined there, it's happening to thousands of women every day, or 24 million globally is what the estimated yearly amount is. So how have we landed here in society where we look away? Like, what's your thoughts around that? What needs to change maybe as well?
I know it sounds really cliche, and it is. It's because people use the expression quite a lot, but now we need to talk about it more, which is why I'm so glad that you are, so glad that this space exists, because when I lost Sunflower and believed we were losing Sunflower, my husband and I were clinging to one another and barely clinging to anything at that point in time, but I needed to hear from other people. Like, I sat down, right, in my grief and crying, in my pain and in my blood, in my tracksuit pants, in my anger and in my fuck you world stage. And I started to Google, it sounds silly, but I started to Google celebrities who have lost a baby, right? And I was looking at actresses and looking at names and thinking to myself, oh my God, okay, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, she said she's lost a baby. Various other high profile people have spoken about it. And I remember thinking, okay, it's not going to make anything better, of course, but thinking to myself, okay, I know that person has a big life and has suffered immeasurable pain themselves and is still going and putting one step in front of the other. And I was trying to look for anyone who could contextualize that life could continue, because I really felt like it couldn't. And the pain of losing your baby is so profound, because like you said just before, Sam, it's not, we'll get pregnant again. A lot of people don't know if they will ever get pregnant again, and a lot of people don't anyway, but you don't want the next baby. Of course you don't. You want that baby. You want your baby that's there. That's what biology tells us when we want to keep our pregnancy. For the people that do want to continue the pregnancy, and I'm sure in many cases for people that choose to not continue their pregnancies for personal reasons. I can't even imagine the choices and the decisions that are made there. But I remember thinking, we need to talk about this more, because I feel like this is the only experience that anyone has happened with miscarriage. Could be me, and I know that might sound self-indulgent, but it's just how you feel at the time, right? You just think to yourself, no one could know what this feels like. Like, how could anyone possibly continue going to work? I was so lucky. I was so fortunate, I should say. I'm not using the word lucky, but going back to December when we lost Sunflower, I was on leave from work. I had 4 weeks off over the holiday period, and a lot of people don't have that.
No.
And I got to grieve in private and take that time in private and talk about it and also have that time to grieve for myself. I can't imagine how people are in love with their baby quietly talking about, how are we going to announce it? What names do we like? What does this look like for us? Ripped away because you readjust your perspective when you get pregnant. You think about your next stage of life. But then you have to readjust it when you lose the baby, because you'd already made the readjustment. And life just doesn't feel like it's ever going to be the same. And so talking about it, even more than what we do, and just making people know that they are not alone is the most important thing we can do. Yeah,
we hear that a lot. We know that what we provide, which is peer support, fancy name, but that's basically listening to other people, validating how you feel from that lived experience of, oh yeah, I get that, I felt that too. Reading other people's stories, looking at the differences that they, how, like you said it before, the hope piece, right? Somebody else that's found a way to carry on, that can hold so much hope for someone who can't find it for themselves. And it's that kind of empathy, sitting with people in the darkness, right? I think there's a lot of power in that, definitely. I've heard you talk as well about the language that surrounds miscarriage, and you said a little bit earlier, I don't like the term loss as well. Can you talk a little bit more about that from your kind of perspective?
It just didn't feel accurate. I mean, we lose keys. We lose... we We lose
all
our
the time.
bra when we're
Yeah.
running around getting ready for work. You know,
Yeah.
we lose the kids' school shoes. Like, you know, we lose things. Things get lost or things get stolen. A baby isn't an item that gets lost. I feel like my baby was ripped away from me, and the person that did it is me. And I understand rationally that that's not the case. I know pregnancies end. I know embryos aren't viable. Of course, you know, rational speaks to me and I understand these things. But in terms of the language, I just think to myself, I don't know how I feel about saying, oh, I've lost a baby. And I think just even the readjustment of vernacular sometimes really does make someone feel a little bit more heard. People get desensitized.
Yes.
And just because someone is desensitized doesn't mean they should be insensitive. And I think as well, for people who aren't walking the path, you might hear it at workplace gossip or someone might go, oh, Julia's lost a baby. Oh, well, she's lost a baby. And they tell the next person, so be nice. They've lost a baby. And it's like, no. Julia's going through the worst agony that she's ever gone through in her life. Please, as much as you can, which people do try and do, just be as communicative about it as Julia feels comfortable. And in my experience, when it comes to language around miscarriage and pregnancy theft, as I call it, is I didn't want people to go silent. That's my personality type, and it's not everyone's. People, I know, no doubt, a lot of people don't want people in the office to come up or wherever you work and say, hey, just want to say I'm here if you need it. People broaching your own trauma can be quite triggering for people that are a different personality type. But for me, I liked it when I could respond with, when people said to me, how are you going? I could say, I'm not doing well. I just had a baby taken from me. I mean, I have a 10-year-old son that I mentioned. His name's Harley. And it was like the bloody end of year big, you know, December fun day out at the school. And I'm like, well, of course I've got to go. You know, I have to go. It was 2 weeks later and I'm putting my sunnies on because I don't want to cry or people see me cry or whatever. But naturally I'm now looking at all these beautiful students and these beautiful children. And I honed in on this, you know, gorgeous little girl. She was probably 5 or 6. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, that brunette girl, you know, that could have been my daughter in a couple of years. Like, I see something there. And it probably looked really weird because she wasn't my daughter and I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable by smiling at her. But children are so innocent and beautiful. But my point is, his school principal came up and said, hi, Christy, you know, how are you feeling? And I said, not good. I actually just had a pregnancy, miscarriage, and I felt so cathartic about it afterwards. And I was lucky that space was held because people might respond with feeling uncomfortable, but I found most of the time people give you that time of the day when you just say, hey, I need some support right now in this moment.
Yeah, I think the disclosure piece is a big one. I wholeheartedly agree with the language piece. I know that I identify with my babies died, like to your point. I didn't lose them. They weren't something to lose. And I can't help but think that society's ability to look away from our losses is perpetuated by this language that almost kind of wraps a silver lining and makes it more easy for people to deal with. If we say pregnancy loss, so it wasn't really a baby yet, that's okay, right? Like, and but we use miscarriage and pregnancy loss a lot because people have to find us and SEO and the way that the world works online. And so we have to use them. But yeah, it doesn't mean that we endorse them. But also don't think the world's quite ready yet for my baby died constantly. I think for some people that can be quite jarring. It's an interesting one because it's individual as well. So we're in December, sunflower. Yeah. What next? How do you pick yourself up again?
I cried all the time.
Yeah,
I cried all the time. And I was happy that I was crying. I know that sounds really morbid, but I didn't want the tears to end. I loved being able to feel because the tears and the pain and the grief is connection to sunflower, right? Yeah. The second I stopped crying, does that mean I stopped caring? Like, it wasn't possible for me to stop crying. Or my husband Justin, the pain in his voice when he found out that we lost sunflower was an excruciating cry. And I told him on the phone because the doctor very sensitively let me know on the phone because I said, just tell me right now if the HCG is dropping, that it's not, I just want to know now. I couldn't handle the limbo. And my husband was actually at Kmart looking for maternity clothes for me. And he got back to the car because he couldn't find any clothes. He was looking in like the activewear section, and I was starting to grow a belly. And I said, well, did you go to the maternity section? So he went back in and goes, all right. And he had found some clothes for me, gets back in the car, and I called him, and he would been scared too, really scared because of the bleeding and things, and me just going, this doesn't feel right. But he was remaining optimistic, and so I tell him, he sobs, he breaks down, I'm sobbing, I'm breaking down. We still had to make dinner, the kids still have to eat. We had to, in the blur that we were trying and tend to the running of the home in this horrific pain that we were in. But my grief actually just kept getting worse. And every opportunity that I could, I wanted to cry. I hated holding in tears. You can't breathe properly.
No.
You can't. It's horrific.
Sits.
It sits. It sits here in your chest. It sits here in your gut. The pain of losing my baby or having my baby die and being ripped away from me was more horrific than anything I can express. And I found myself naturally crying all the time, and I was relieved about that. I go up and get a coffee from my local shop, and I feel bad for the baristas because they're like this, hi, how's your day? I'm like, it's not good. I've had, and they're, Christy, I'm so sorry. And that's not for everyone, I know, in terms of being such an open book, but I really just needed to cry in December and kept crying. And then I had to go back to work. And this one really stood out for me. And this is when I was deep dive Googling and obviously where I found Pink Elephants. And I was so grateful for that, because I just thought, who the hell am I going to listen to? Like, who knows this? Who knows this? Millions of people know this, but you just don't feel like it in the time. So we get through Christmas. That was fun. And then I had to go back to work in January. And I had a choice. I was like, okay, because I had posted on Instagram, I remember that, and I wanted to tell people about our baby because I loved our baby so much. And even though our baby died, I wasn't not celebrating our baby's life. Our baby was here and our baby mattered, and there was a time and a space where that was real for us, and I didn't want to not acknowledge that as our life and our reality forever. And then also the anxiety of going back to work started kicking, because I went, okay, well, I work on the radio. I'm a breakfast radio host, and I was on TV for a long time. And now if I talk about it, is it going to be hard to get through? And I went, hang on a second. Not only do you not owe it, but not only should you normalize this conversation for other people who've lost a baby, but you should also do it for Sunflower, because you love Sunflower. Of course you have the right to talk about your baby and not feel that you are making people feel uncomfortable at work.
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it as well, right? They're very real. Our babies are real to us. Our experiences matter, and we deserve to have spaces where we feel safe to talk about our babies and not be judged or minimised. Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge.
And then what next? How did you even...
I thought, okay, I can shy away from this now, and I can just do my breakfast show and, hey, let's talk about Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift and all those things we did anyway. But I'm not a surface level person or a broadcaster. Like, I always like to go deeper, and I'm aware of the fact that if you're lucky enough to have a platform, you should do it. You should take it seriously and use it for good, and just let people know that they're not alone. So I knew what I needed when I had Sunflower ripped from us, and I didn't want anyone out there for a split second to feel like they were alone too. And so I said to my team, as in my co-host Dan and our beautiful producer Matt, they're great guys, and of course they knew about it and had sent me beautiful message and cuddles and we're here for you and all those things. And I said, all right, of course I want to talk about it on air. And it was my first day back, and I chickened out. I said, it's Monday. Do people want to hear this on a Monday? Like, it's already a shitty enough day of the week for most people.
Yeah,
like no one likes a Monday. And then I said, I just don't know if I can do it just yet. Like, I've talked about a lot of things on air, and I've cried many times on air, but I went, this one, I want to do it justice, and I'm scared. I'm scared because I just don't feel alive anymore. Like I feel nothing but darkness and sadness, and I felt immense grief. And I didn't think that I would be able to translate in a way that was helpful to anyone.
Yeah.
That they weren't alone. But we get there and work is fantastic. I get on air and I say, okay, I want to say something. I know it affects millions of people, millions of women around the world, and a lot of couples or a lot of people, individual people trying for a baby. And I want you to know that over the summer break, this is what happened. We fell pregnant with this beautiful, wanted, adored baby. And the baby's gone. Baby has died. I have miscarried. I hate the term I lost a baby. There was a lot I wanted to say. And Murphy's Law is, of course, when you get on air or on TV, things, all you can ever do in those moments, and what I've tried to do over the years and doing right now is just speak from the heart and recall things as well as you can. And then the messages started to come through. Calls started to come through. People in the office started to come up to me. And I could tell, even just from the own direct vicinity of where I worked, that there was a lot of other women that had happened to. And there's a beautiful woman at our radio station. Obviously, I won't name names. And when we lost Sunflower, she sent a gift, which was this beautiful Christmas tree bauble, which talked about, it was a poem, and it talked about how we now have an angel in the sky with all the other babies that have said goodbye. And I remember thinking, she's a really sweet lady at work. She's a little bit more quiet. Like, I didn't see this for her. Of course I didn't. Why would I? Because it's such an invisible grief.
Yes.
Such an invisible.
How many of us are walking around with this?
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day. Every day. And the second I started to talk about it, I felt better. Other people felt more comfortable saying that they could come up and talk about it. And also I was grateful because it meant that my husband, the baby's father, he also got support that he needed too. Because sometimes I feel like partners of people that are pregnant and trying for the baby can get forgotten about along the way as well. But mostly the support that I received was overwhelming, and I was just so glad that other people, most importantly, knew that they weren't alone.
It does. When you start talking about it, it's amazing how many more people are around you, right? And then there's like that knowing.
Yeah.
That just, and there's something in that moment that is compassion, empathy, all those things held. Yeah. And that matters.
It does. It's like a club that you don't want to be in. It's like a language that you don't want to speak.
100%.
You do not want to be bilingual. You don't want to be able to, hey, oh my God, you know this pain. I know this. We're speaking our own thing together. Like no one wants to have it. But having said that, I was so glad about the collective community because we could all stick together.
And we're so strong together. One of the things I've had the absolute privilege of witnessing in the last 10 years of doing this is the strength of us together, of the difference we make for each other, our peer support companions. When we started that program where they one-on-one hold space via live chat, I never accounted for how healing it would be for the women holding space, how cathartic it is for them. Now we've got like posters published and things like that on that, and it's just mind-blowing to me. I'm like, okay, I was worried about the risk of someone else listening to someone else's story and things like vicarious trauma and taking on too much that's too similar to your journey. And it's been the complete opposite. It has been this program that just has so much full circle kind of like validation, empathy. And yeah, I feel like the strength of women and partners and families who are in this isn't talked about enough. That the fact that you can not only survive one of the world's most indescribable pains whilst the world is moving on and ignoring it, but then you can be brave enough to put your heart on the line and go, well, ultimately I want a baby, so I'm going to try again.
And then that's another layer because you go, are we ready?
Yes, are we ready?
How could I do this to Sunflower? We're not moving on. What do you mean? Like, is this trying to move on by trying again? Does trying again mean that we are trying to forget? And of course it doesn't. You never forget. You coexist.
Yes.
You know, when I lost Sunflower, we had a Christmas photo. The Go and Meet Santa, let's do a Christmas photo. I mean, if you see that Christmas photo on my Instagram, it's like I'm blurry-eyed red. It's, I've been crying, everything like that. It's not a good photo of Mum. But the photo is there and I said, I have 2 of my babies in my arms, and my 3rd baby is right here in my heart. And she's still here. Sunflower is still here, even though I know how her baby sister, Marigold, Goldie, my now 6-month-old daughter, is here. And I remember when we went, okay, we are trying again. Think how much we love Sunflower. We are not forgetting Sunflower. We are trying to not reincarnate, not rebring, but we're going to have, our baby will find us, however this happens. So we start trying traditionally. It's not happening. I don't want to go through the risk of a miscarriage again. I hated it. I refuse to put myself through it. I'm scared to get pregnant. I'm not excited about the possibility. But then we also have to get pragmatic because, you know, I'm 37. We're doing IVF. It's very expensive. How can we pay for it? What are we going to make work? So we had to start to make decisions. And we got a bit stronger and we wanted to try to make decisions to see where we could go. And I said, okay, let's just see where we go. So we do our IVF round and we get the eggs out. I get the eggs out and we go, okay, well, we'll have a transfer. Like, I've got a great team. You know, Taz IVF are responsible for Goldie's arrival, my daughter's arrival, but Taz IVF, who were fantastic, who we also went through with Goldie. And we get the eggs out for the, you know, you do the needles and all that sort of stuff. And I had a good egg result. And so we're feeling strong. And then they go, okay, we're going to do the transfer. We did the transfer. And I'm thinking, I think this has worked.
Yeah.
I think this has worked. Like, I've got pregnancy symptoms. I've been pregnant before. I know what they are. There's no blood. It's very early days, and they say don't test yourself. You know, don't do that because you don't want to give yourself off. But
we all do.
Of course we're going to, right?
Yeah.
Of course we are. We want to prepare ourselves. It's good news. Is it bad news? Whatever. Everyone does. Well, most of us. A lot of
Majority
us
of
do.
people we see and we support absolutely
Yeah.
test within that 10-day window that you're not meant to, right?
Yeah. So I do it, and I'm like, the test is coming back reflecting pregnancy, and then we're going, okay, cool, we've got it. Let's not be cocky or anything like that. It did work, but it wasn't viable. And I thought, anger kicks back in, tears. Yeah. So it's a chemical pregnancy. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
No.
A chemical pregnancy. So what was the point of that? What are you doing to me? Like,
yeah, we literally
whoever you are, whatever it is, there's no reason for this. And there was like, my body, like, there was no reason for this. You know, I wasn't as skinny as I was before, but I'm very fit and healthy. Like, so I'm a mess. I'm angry. I'm getting resentful too.
Yeah.
Taking a bit of stuff out of my husband that wasn't fair. You know, well, you know, with this, your sperm, blah, blah, blah. Like, looking for justification wherever you can find it. And of course you feel terrible about that. And I did, of course, and that wasn't fair. And then we go, okay, we'll try again. Tried again, and I decided this time I wouldn't tell anyone about it because I just didn't want the bullshit. I didn't want, and so we go and get the eggs out and do a cycle. That doesn't work, and I went, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, we've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, I'm talking IVF all up cost us about $40,000. We get the rebate and things like that, but you've got to come up with the money on the spot. Like, it's an expensive task. And so I said, all right, I'm not doing it anymore, but we'll do one last time. Would you believe it was actually our 4th round? And, you know, I talked earlier before about the baby Sunflower being due on the 4th, and the boys are born on the 4th, and that's my husband's lucky number is 4, just for various things. Like, we were born 4 days apart, and we've always said it. And I'd never had a break from IVF concurrently. Like, I've always been going back-to-back cycles and things like that. And so I said, okay, that's it. If this works, it doesn't. If it works, it does. We've said, okay, we'll get my eggs out, do the eggs. Had a good result for the eggs. Not an amazing result, but a good result of when they get your eggs out. We got ours checked, so we paid more money to go and get our egg tested to make sure that the embryo would be viable. And then we put it on ice. I went, okay, we're going overseas. Let's go and have a holiday that we can't afford.
Yeah, no,
we
it's
cannot
like,
afford it.
everyone's like, go on
But
holiday,
let's
and
do
you're
it.
like, I've just spent. Like, thanks for that advice. It's really, cool.
And so we went and had a white Christmas, and we came back, and then this time around, would you believe I said to everyone on the air, to everyone I knew, I was like, we're about to do an IVF egg transfer. For some reason, I just wanted to tell people. I just felt strong enough again, perhaps, to tell people. And now we're at the end of 2024. So we're a year after losing Sunflower. This is how long this has taken us to even get here. So we come back from our trip and get back on air, and 2025 rolls around. We're in the beginning of 2025 now, after years of going through IVF, and egg transfer day comes around. So this is after we've had the eggs on ice. This is after we've tested them. This is after we've done everything, and we're nervous, but we're trying to be optimistic. And I said, it's the last time, and I meant it.
Yeah.
And I thought, the universe wants us to have the baby, or not, or maybe there's not even a reason, because there's not a reason for everything sometimes, in my opinion, or there is, and people can learn from it. But I still can't make sense of this rhyme nor reason. And so transfer day comes around, and I brought it to the air, and we told people, we were like, this is a transfer day. And people started to call and leave messages, and I spoke to callers on air, and people were sending me lovely DMs, and I had a woman ring up, and she said a beautiful Tibetan prayer, and look, I felt so touched and supported and positive, and so happy that day. And we went and did the transfer, and I got all the acupuncture beforehand and then acupuncture afterwards. And we got tips on air about, hey, like, how did you get your IVF to stick? Like, we had fun with it because it was just such an arduous process the whole time that we were just up for anything. Went and had the Macca's fries because that was a tip. And I got scared afterwards, but I thought, okay, let's try. I took some time off work to relax my body. Watching Kristen Bell series, laying in bed, feeling confident, and decide to do the test. Don't do the 10-day test thing. And I said,
We all do.
I'm doing it. And I went day 5, day 6, because I'd seen the symptoms again. I went, okay, this feels pregnancy-like. Is it just going to be another chemical?
I know, and it's like, you just question everything now, right? That's the hard part.
Yeah. And you're scared again. Because I went, hang on, my body does this. Oh, look, you're pregnant. No, you're not. Oh, look, you're pregnant again. No, you're not. I'm like, make up your mind. Like, stop doing this to me. And I sent my husband up to go and get a pregnancy test. And then I sent him up to go and get another one, just because I wanted to have different options there and then on the spot. And anyone who's done this, and you know what it's like, Sam, you have to be able to pee to do a pregnancy test at home. And so it's not that easy just to do them back to back. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Did a test. It had the 2 lines, and it was really strong this time. And I screamed, and I called my husband inside, and he's like mowing the lawn at the time, and he thinks something's wrong. So he comes running in, and I showed it to him, and we just grabbed each other. And I said, okay, I'll go and do the other one, which took a while because I did fill up again with water. Yeah. and the same thing. And I went, no, this can't be right. Like, why am I getting scared and sad again? I should be happy. Hang on, I'm not ready for this. Please don't do this to me again. Yeah. Don't give me something and then take it away from me, because I will die of a broken heart. I can't survive it again. So I sent him up to go and get another pregnancy test to Woolies. Comes back, and I said, look, just go and get a few. They're like $20
and you
each.
want different brands,
different
right?
brands, like
because
different...
you've heard the rumours that first response,
yes,
the names, but that one doesn't work, and that one's highly sensitive, and that one gives false positives. So
yeah,
you literally spend hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, yeah,
because you don't believe. Because you can't believe because of everything that you've been through, right?
You can't believe it. You can't believe it, and you don't, and you sometimes don't even want to believe it, because it being real then
makes it frightening, right?
Frightening. Then it becoming real can make it become unreal again, and you can't survive it. So in the end, I've done multiple tests. They're all positive, and I said to my husband, okay, look, we've got the blood test. I think it was 2 days away. I'll do another test tomorrow and see if it gets stronger or if it fades. Because if it fades, At least that way, I don't need to have someone look me in the eye and tell me the horrific news. I can deal with it by myself. I'm stoic. I'm going to be strong. I'm going to cry. But, I can prepare myself. And then the next day it's the same, if not probably stronger. And I've got like a lunchbox of pea sticks by now at this stage. Like we've got a Jimi Hendrix lunchbox after my son. So it's like this cool Jimi Hendrix lunchbox full of all my pregnancy sticks covered in pea. And I still have it to this day. So my IVF appointment comes around for us to do the blood test. And I walked in and I said, and I know these beautiful women now, angels, fertility nurses, doctors, support people are. Hold your hand in the most horrific of circumstances. And I showed them the lunchbox and I said, I'm too scared to go and get a blood test. And the nurse grabbed me and she said, honey, go and do your blood test now so that we can sort this out by the end of the day. In other words, she's thinking to herself, this girl is pregnant. This woman is pregnant. This is a good thing. Let's go and celebrate. Yeah. But I was too scared. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I can. And it's a Friday afternoon and
what if and then you don't
everything's closed of the weekend and we need to know, right? Like we can't.
No, it's like, I think if the health system realised the places we go, that then the gaps in systems care wouldn't happen, because you can't let people sit in the unknown. And yet we've got a health system that operates on business hours, yet our pregnancy losses happen 24/7, right? You've got the need for blood results, and you add it, if you then look at regional, it's even worse, right? And you just, like the mental torture of the wait.
Yeah. It's got to change. It has to change, like you just said. People bleed, people have miscarriages, midnight, 2 a.m. It doesn't wait for anyone. Answers, results, communication, help. We need it 24/7. The weekend was coming around and so what? I needed these results. And so, all right, I'm going. And then about 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon rolls around and I went and got the blood test, 1 o'clock. And they said, look, we'll try and expedite it for you. And 4:30, we still hadn't got the call. And I'm like, all right, if we don't get this call by 5 from our IVF provider, I don't think it's good news, or they haven't got it back, or something's happened, or they're going to schedule us in person to tell us sensitively. And I refuse to go to these. I'm not doing it. I just can't do it to myself. I want to cry and grieve. And I just want to now put my head in my pillow and cry. And so in the end, we just walked into the building. They actually, I kid you not, the IVF facility is literally underneath my radio station. Okay, right. So that building was where I broadcast and where I cried, had failed rounds, did blood tests, had hard conversations. And then Friday afternoon at 5 to 5 p.m. on March 27th, walked into the building and we found out that we were very, very pregnant with Marigold, with fantastic HCG results. And she put her arms around me, our nurse, because she had previously told me that my previous pregnancy of what I had was not viable, positive but not viable. And she said, one of the worst things I've ever seen in my career was the day I broke your heart. And she said, but now, today, it's one of the best moments and this is why we do it. And we all cried. We were so happy. And I still remember it. And I remember thinking, oh my God, is this real? Has it actually worked? And the thing is, though, I sit here and I talk about IVF, and I'm so thankful for IVF, and people might make the choice to do it. Some people don't need to go through that route if they have a traditional pregnancy success. But I'm also aware of the fact that people hear it and it's not viable for everyone. You can't afford it, or there isn't the support. Like, it's not just that easy for people to, even though IVF is so hard, a lot of people don't have the luxury to go back and do it again and again and again and again. And that's a whole nother grief for people too. Yeah. Because I've heard those stories from people who say, I'm so happy for you. I love this for you. I wish we could do it. I wish we could go back and try again, and we can't because of this and because of that, And that's not lost on me either. No. It's so hard when you're trying for a baby that if the only option you also have to try and bring your baby is coming down to money, that just makes the frustration and the grief even harder. Yeah. Because you're powerless. You can't do
so
anything.
Unjust. Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. And you already feel powerless when you have your baby taken from you. And you feel even more powerless when you now need to come up with thousands and you can't, or whatever your circumstance might be. And so when I talk about IVF, I'm so mindful that we are in such a privileged position to have that grief.
Yeah.
I'm privileged that I got to have answers the first time. It wasn't the answer that I wanted, or the second time, or the third time. But I'm still privileged that I got to try in that way too.
Yeah, you're right. Because for so many, the cost is so prohibitive.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. Yeah.
I didn't think really that we would get here.
And now you are. She's 6 months old.
She's 6 months old.
That's mad, right?
I know. And I look at my daughter, and her name is Marigold May. Her middle name is May. That's when her father and I got married. And May was a hopeful time. It was a beautiful time. That's when we got married, and it's my favorite season. And we thought Marigold May, it has to be her name. And her nickname is Goldie.
Yeah.
Goldie Hawn is my favorite actress, but also I loved the encapsulation of bright and colourful and leaving her gold in this world. And that's what I knew her name was. I just knew it. And I look at her now and I go, was every needle, was every blood test, was every grief-stricken day that we had worth it? And yes, of course it was worth it. But I also remember someone who sent me a message when Sunflower died, and I probably didn't appreciate it as much at the time, even though I knew it came from such a beautiful place, and every message does. It was someone who had, as I'm starting to now, walked on the other side and said, when you have your baby, it'll make sense. You'll meet your baby, and that baby, your baby, the baby in your arms, or the baby that finds you, will help you coexist with your beautiful Sunflower. And Sunflower will be there with your baby, and you'll feel even closer to Sunflower when your baby is born. And I didn't get that. I was like, what do you mean? How would I? And I get it now. Marigold's arrival is so coexistent with Sunflower that I think to myself, did you guys talk on the way?
I know,
on the other
right?
side, like wherever you were together? Like, did Sunflower protect you so that you would stay with Mummy and you would find us? All these questions I have when I look at the miracle that is now here. And it'll be important to me as Goldie ages that she hears nothing but the truth with fertility issues that I had and the loss of what would have been her big brother or sister. I always just feel like Sunflower was a girl. And that sounds silly, but I just feel it. Yeah. I just know. We didn't find out. And I want that space to exist. But I also want her in her own right to know how wanted she was too, and how her existence and her independent, miraculous existence is a miracle that I just never felt ever would happen, and it did. And every single day we look at her and we can't believe it. When I say that, like, she's just the most beautiful baby. I mean, every baby is gorgeous. Every parent thinks their baby is gorgeous. But I mean, she's so happy. Yeah. There's like this weird, I've been here before thing. Marigold is an old soul. She's always smiling. She's a happy baby. And it's not like we're doing anything extra that warrants the happy baby. Like, I know that people listening now might be going through a really hard time with a baby that always cries and it's hard. And they're doing everything that we're doing. So I don't want people to think that we're just doing everything right because we know what we're doing. Not at all. We're just lucky.
They're just different.
Every
child's different, right?
Every child is different. And she just has reminded me that throughout the grief of trying to have a baby, finding your baby, in a weird way, you not only find your baby, but you also re-find yourself. I've refound a new identity with Sunflower here and Marigold here when she's here, or she's here or here or here, or pulling my hair, or wherever she is now. And I'm actually thankful for it. I didn't want to go through this. No woman wants to go through this. No woman imagines that she will go through this, but statistically we know that they do. We know that 1 in 3 women will walk this path, millions of women around the world. And I am privileged to be walking alongside this with so many incredible people who have shared their stories. And I hope that by people hearing that miracles can happen, that pain and joy can both coexist together. You don't have your baby and forget about the one you lost. I will never forget about Sunflower. I love Sunflower. I have sunflowers all over our home. We have a sunflower vase. We planted sunflowers. I'm getting a sunflower tattoo on my arm. Sunflower 0408 2024. A lot of 4s in that. A lot of 4s in that.
It is your number.
And I know that for you listening right now and for people affected, keep going even when you can't, because I believe in miracles and I believe everyone will find their number 4.